this was suggested the other day when we gathered together. If we were to ask the learned pundits of the various persuasions, what is our destination? What is our purpose of existence? The answers would undoubtedly be the realization of God, to attain nirvana, or Christ consciousness, or enlightenment. And all of these suggest that we have to strive to achieve this destination, doing good works, etc., etc., etc. But what about if we couch this destination in another way? What about if we say that the purpose of our life is to reach the state of absence of illusion? We can immediately connote from this that rather than attaining or achieving or acquiring, we have to let go. We have to strip away. But to do so, we can, as we are, looking at the meaning of illusion and how it relates to our own experience, to perhaps recognize what then is truly our realization of what our destination is. So we're exploring the meaning of illusion. And there's another story. It's about a young Jewish scholar by the name of Reuben. Now he was in an academy where he was studying to become a learned rabbinical scholar so that he could teach just as his dear father had done. Now it happened that his father had died some time before, but one night when Reuben was sleeping, he had a dream that his father came to him and said to him, "My son, you must travel to the city of Koretz." Now this dream was so real to Reuben. He really believed that he was face to face with his father and that his father was speaking to him. But when he awoke in the morning, in being in this establishment, this academy with its rules and regulations, he thought to himself he could not give credibility to a dream and tell his teachers and others that he had to go to this far distant place because of a dream. But the very next night, his father came to him again, giving him the same instruction: "You must travel to the city of Koretz." Now again, Reuben woke up and knowing that this dream was so real to him, his father was so real, and wanting to follow his advice, but being torn, because how could he explain to his teachers and the learned rabbis in the academy that he had to follow a dream? But on the third night, his father came to him again and pleaded with him, "You must go to the city of Koretz, and you must ask and find the great Rabbi Pinhas." So on this third occasion, the urge was so strong to fulfill what his father has said. He wrote a note to his teachers in the academy, but he told them that he was going to this far distant city because he had to claim an inheritance, because he did not believe that they would give credibility to saying that he had to follow a dream. So he left and made the long journey to go to the city of Koretz. And sure enough, he found the abode of Rabbi Pinhas, and he was invited in, and of course, as is always the case, he was given hospitality. And it so happened that this was on the eve of a very great Jewish festival, a Jewish festival that required ablutions and preparations, which was to take a ritual bath. So Rabbi Pinhas said to Reuben, if you go through that doorway over there, it will take you to the place where you can undertake the necessary ablutions to prepare for our festival day. So Reuben went over to this doorway, and he opened the door to find that it led to a stairway. And when he descended the stairway, it seemed to go on forever, deeper, 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 deeper than into the bowels of what we would say the earth. And he began to hear strange sounds like birds and animal sounds and so forth. And he wondered what on earth it was that was happening to him. But then suddenly he found himself in the very strangest of places. He was in a deep, deep forest, and he could hear all the sounds around him. He could feel the crackling of the leaves under his feet, and he could even recognize that the day was passing and evening was coming on. He didn't know where he was, but he did have fear, because this was, after all, a wild forest, and wild animals could be there. So he knew that he had to be alert, and he had to find a safe place for the night. So he found a great tree, which he climbed, and he nestled himself in the crook of branches that were there, and told himself that he must remain alert, because otherwise he might fall out of this tree, and so forth. But while he was there in the crook of this tree, it so happened that a group of men came and settled themselves under the tree, and it was obvious that they were a group of robbers. And not only robbers, but very vicious robbers, because they sat under their tree, drinking their alcohol, imbibing from a container that they had, and telling of their feats of how they had waylaid this person, killed them, and taken all of their jewelry and gold, etc. So they were exchanging stories of their prowess in this way. So Reuben was very much afraid, so he kept very, very quiet and very, very still while he heard all of this going on, and their voices getting louder as they imbibed more and more of their alcohol from their flask. And then finally, all of the robbers fell into a drunken sleep, and all was quiet. But just as the dawn was coming up and the light was coming through the trees, Reuben noticed a viper slithering down the branches of the tree. And he saw this viper enter the container in which the robbers had their alcohol. And it happened that the viper engorged itself with the alcohol and then vomited it up, containing his venom his poison into the container. Well, of course, as soon as the robbers awoke, they took down their container from the tree and began to drink again. And Reuben watched as each and every one of them writhed on the ground as they were poisoned by the venom of the viper. So when all was quiet, Reuben climbed down from the tree to check that all of the robbers had indeed passed away, and he went through their bags and found all kinds of gold and jewels. But of course, Reuben was not acquisitive. He had no need for gold and jewels. But as he was rummaging through the sacks left by the robbers, he came across a stone that had illumination, its own light coming from within. Now he recognized that this stone was a great treasure, so he put it in his cloak as he went off, trying to find somewhere that was inhabited. And indeed, after some while, he came to the gates of a city. So when he entered that city, he found that there was a great pall of sadness in the air. And when he asked the people there what it was that brought about this melancholy, they said that their king had died and had left only his daughter to reign, but it was not allowed that a woman could reign over that kingdom. And they said that the way succession was made was through a stone that was in the possession of the king, that had its own illumination and was able to give indication of who the successor would be. So of course Reuben knew that he had in his possession this stone, so he went to the palace and announced to the guards, and so they took him immediately into the presence of the princess. Now he took out the stone from his robe, and the princess said, I see that a successor for my father has been found, and the one who is destined to be my husband. And Reuben told the story to validate that he had not himself stolen the stone, and so soldiers were sent to check, and sure enough, the bodies of the robbers were found. So the wedding took place, and Reuben took his place as the monarch of that realm, and they had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. But suddenly, one evening, a very great tidal wave came over that city and washed all away, taking Reuben as he spluttered and found his breath above the wave, to find himself at the bottom of the stairways that he had descended. When he climbed the stairs and went back into the presence of Rabbi Pinhas, Rabbi Pinhas said, "This experience has been given to you because as you had aspirations to become a great teacher, and a scholar. It was necessary to bring you to experience another possibility. You have lived a life. And at that moment, Rabbi Pinhas called to him his own daughter. And when she walked into the room, Reuben almost fainted, because here was the princess of his dream. Now, Rabbi Pinhas said, now perhaps you will see that it is your destiny to become the husband of my daughter. And so, of course, he did. And they had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, just as had been experienced in his vision, dream. How does this story bring awareness to us of the nature of illusion? What's our experience? Dreams, visions, and the like. How do they illuminate for us and give us the answer to what is the nature of illusion?